difficult now to pitch a business plan for a growth venture and not have an answer to the question, what are you going to do about China and India? I think the difference is, it used to be the thought was, what are you going to do about customers in China and India? Now, increasingly, you have to think that that's where a lot of the capital may be coming from.
One should stop talking about emerging economies as still emerging, but one should also perhaps think about the advanced economies as gradually being submerged.
The issues put on the table this morning was that, the almost cliche quote, greed is good, and where do we stand on that?
We've seen signs in the last 6 to 9 months that, for example, the junk bond market has seen a fantastic growth, some of the largest growth rates that they've ever seen in history. So the question obviously was, is it back to normal? Will we see the large deals that we saw before, the mega deals? Most likely not. If at all, then possibly in the US.
What about among the entrepreneurs?
Well, the thing about entrepreneurs, Peter, is entrepreneurship always is about passion. Yoav Shalush said something interesting, that an entrepreneur almost by definition is somebody who has an unrealistic approach to risk. And many entrepreneurs have told me, if I had known at the beginning what I had gotten myself into, ...
My wish list is that people understand that business is a force for the good, for the social good. So in a certain way, you could interpret that as saying, greed for social impact.
To me, it's very important that our students basically leave with a relevant experience out of INSEAD. Relevant because they will at any point in time be involved in risk management. We need to get away from the idea that we can pass our students models that will be good for the rest of their career.
You have to determine your values before you leave INSEAD. Because once you're in business, you don't have time, and temptation is actually too big.
Europeans come from a different perspective. We would not be as trusted as we are in the Middle East if we did not have a European heritage. What they like about us is they think that we, from the start, will listen to them and take their culture seriously.
We have a fantastic panel here, 5 alumni and 1 probably soon-to-be alumni. Within the next 10 to 50, that's 50 years, where will we have this meeting, and what will be the theme? Francois.
I would like it to be in Europe, to show that Europe is not dead.
I'd like to imagine that INSEAD continues to be brave in forging a DNA which is relevant to the entire world, and so I would hope that we would go somewhere in those 10 to 50 years and we'd go to probably some of the poorest regions of the world, let's say Africa.
And the topic, I think, will be the interplay between business and government, because I think we're going to go through some extraordinarily difficult times in the next several years. Most of them not things that entrepreneurs in this room are going to impact.
I do think it should be on a ship, because we see more and more big conferences being organized on ships as opposed to on land. And if we dream further, I could see that on the coast of Korea, to celebrate the reunification of Korea, a big capitalist country, and all of that paid by big Korean groups like Samsung, Hyundai, and others.
My topic would be technology. I think that one of the things that we are starting to underinvest in is the fact that 10 years ago, it's not just that the internet and pure technology are important, but that when you look at the car industry 15 years ago, electronics and computers were not a big part of that. Now they're really distinguishing and start to become a huge part of the value added.
I think that we need to have INSEAD be part of detoxifying the brand of capitalism as we move into this next stage.
We should help our clients, students, alumni, companies, society, generate growth. I think growth is the big issue.
And back to the whole discussion about greed is good. It's not that greed is good or bad, it just is that it doesn't work. Greed doesn't work.
I don't think the issue is the maximization of the value, it's the way you do it.
We actually learned this in class this week, which was around the fact that there's 2 ways to make money. One is to make the world a better place and take a small chunk of it, or 2 is to screw people. And you have to make a decision, and our professor was very emphatic on the fact that the former is probably better, but that at the end of the day you can still make money and be ethical and responsible, but that's a decision you have to make.
I believe going forward, a corporation, particularly a larger and public corporation, will simply have to make a positive social impact to be allowed to maximize its shareholder value. I don't believe that the customer base or the governments where the corporation is active over a long period of time will support a corporation that is obviously and entirely selfish in pursuing sort of its naked interest.